Hello! Welcome back to the Females Thriving Over 30 podcast. I feel like we always do this. Don't know what this
Yeah,
is.
I don't know, me neither.
So we're told that success is built between 9 and 5. Get the degree, land the job, climb the ladder. But what if the life you're truly meant to build, starts after you log off? What if the hours between 5 and 9 are where purpose, passion, and your future are actually created? Today's conversation is all about building a career with meaning, finding fulfillment beyond a job title, and discovering whether you really have to choose between security and purpose. Something that I feel like all women over 30 are thinking about and conscious of. I think like a lot of people start to reevaluate their career or what they're doing in their life at that point. So I'm really excited about this today. But before we get into that and invite our guest in, how are you doing this week?
I'm good. Today is an exciting day. Although you're going to be listening this a week after. But today, Spain plays the semifinals at AT&T Stadium, the Dallas Cowboys cheerleader stadium, against France. So it's going to be a tough match because France is a really good team. Spain is a good team. Obviously, I want Spain to win because I want them to go to the finals. But I didn't realize that the match was being played at AT&T Stadium. And I realized this morning, and I was literally took a phone into my family WhatsApp and was like to my cousin, because my cousin works for the Spanish Football Federation. So he flew yesterday to Dallas to cover the match on TV. And I was like, you better film when they do Thunderstruck, and you better try to find one or two somewhere backstage and ask them to send me a video.
And I hope that we get it. Can we also add me to this request?
Yes, we say like for females thriving over 30, please.
Yes, they need to promote. We need to get a little video of them talking about how they're females thriving over 30. Any of them that are over 30. Probably not many of them, to be fair. But
yeah. But yeah, that's what I was really excited about this morning. So I was like messaging on my way to the gym. I was like, oh my God, Dallas, AT&T. Of course, like you have to. There is a video. And then he's like, well, I'm going to see if I can just get someone to talk to, because they have very strict rules on what they can show and cannot show. So because he's going to be in one of those cabins where he's going to be like recording the whole thing for the match. I think they are not allowed to record anything other than just like themselves, like this, you know. But my uncle is there, so hopefully he will be able to get that, because obviously he's not working there. He's just kind of like a spectator. So
Ooh, I feel like that was one of my bucket list things. Like I would love to see Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders live. Now that I've seen all of these seasons.
Maybe that's a trip that we need to make. Who else likes the Dallas Cowboys cheerleader? Should we make a Females Thriving Over 30 trip to Dallas? And then all go and watch a game, so then we can see them perform. I think that's a great idea.
But we do need to do a tour around America, because I also want to see the Savannah Bananas.
Oh my God, yes!
I mentioned it to someone the other day. They were like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, how have you not seen the Savannah Bananas? They sing songs.
I'm in. I'm definitely in. Yes, let's do that. Okay, whoever wants to join us, please let us know. And then we can start organizing something for next year, because we're not going to travel in the winter. It needs to be like spring at least, you know.
I feel like everyone will have probably heard of Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Let us know if you've heard of Savannah Bananas. I want to know. And if you haven't, then look up the Savannah Bananas. I love their content.
Yeah, I love that too. And apart from that, nothing. As I said, as we said, like I've entered my next pageant. So I started kind of like getting in gear, which I love. Going back now to the gym, having that purpose, and slowly loving being at the gym again. I think it's also helping in a way that because I am on a contraceptive at the moment for my endometriosis, it's kind of like very calmed down. So I'm just feeling like I'm not in pain as often. So it's making me enjoy exercising again. I have the energy, I'm able to do it. So I think it's like both things together making me be back to something that I enjoyed. And yeah, excited. That's it. What about you? What have you been to?
I think I was just going to say, I feel like we should probably do I mean, we probably touched on this before, but I think it'd be good to do an episode at some point around like living with and without goals. Like, we're pretty sure we've touched
Mm.
on this before. I think like definitely having come out of competing for quite a few years with some breaks, but somewhat like competing probably at least once a year,
Mhm.
to nothing is such an adjustment as well. And like I think like then
Yeah.
finding other things that you want to have as goals can be quite an
Yes.
adjustment when you've done something like that. So anyway, yeah, I think we
Mhm.
should talk about that at some point as well.
Yep.
But yeah, for me, what have I done? Um, Lots of boring life admin things. I think I mentioned last time there's quite a lot of stuff going on for me. So there's stuff that I've been having to do for that in the background. Um, I've only been in my new house for, I think it's like, maybe it's nearly 2 months now, but there's still so much to
Mhm.
do in terms of just like unpacking and
Yeah.
organizing and like
There's
getting used to a
always
new
things to do.
space. Yeah, it's just never ending, never ending. Um, and then obviously our event, we've started now to share our event that's going to be happening. So keep an eye out on that. If you want to get more information, just send us a message. We are now selling tickets and we've sold our first tickets today. So they've already started to sell, which is super exciting. So yeah, if you've heard this, hopefully you're not too late for early bird tickets.
Mhm.
By the time you hear this, you might be too late for early bird tickets, but let us
Who
know and
knows?
we'll,
Yeah.
we'll, yeah, yeah,
We can maybe put the link in the description so then
yeah,
people can buy
yeah,
tickets.
yeah, yeah. So we'll put the link in the description of this episode if you're interested in buying a ticket. Then please have a look at that. But yeah, it's going to be such a good day. I'm really excited for that and just having everyone come
Yeah, me too.
together. Some of our guests we've not met in person before, so hopefully we'll have some of our guests there.
Yes.
And just like I feel like obviously we're behind our laptops, our computers doing this, and we've got a mission of the impact we want to have, but we don't really get to see the impact because we're not there in person with people. So I think it'll be really nice to see like the energy of all the women in the room when we do that. So it's
Yeah.
going to be fun.
Yeah. And we're also looking for sponsors. So if any brand is listening to this and wants to be a sponsor for the podcast live event, please make sure that you reach out to us.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many different ways to get involved as well. So even if you're an individual person that's listening to this and it's just something that you're really passionate about, there'll probably be options for you to be able to support in some way as well. Obviously, first of all, by coming to the event, but we're having speaking opportunities,
Yes.
and then different levels of sponsorship. So however much you can get involved and help, there'll be something for everybody. So just let us
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking? I actually need to send you this video on TikTok. Um, I think I'm being influenced to buy a gadget. And I'm thinking, oh, I can use it for my personal stuff. But then I was thinking, oh, wouldn't it be cool to have this for the podcast as well? To be able to have an aerial view of the podcast while we are recording.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What, like just like this, or when we're doing it live?
Yeah, when we're doing the live,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
just be able
yeah.
to see
Oh
like
yeah,
audience and us and stuff. That would
that
be
would be
cool.
cool. Yeah, really. I thought you meant now, and I was like, well, no one wants to see me. I've got my trousers rolled up
Yeah,
because
right.
my
Like,
stomach's
hey,
hot.
like sitting like this, like a frog that I am sitting right now. That's just not. It's not.
For the live event, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll be really conscious of how I look if I'm doing it live in front of people. Right now, I can wear anything on the bottom half.
Oh yeah. I didn't the other day either. Today I am, but the other day it was too hot. We had to wear a top because otherwise we would be, banned. But it was too hot. It was so hot that I had the fan on. Today's hotish, but the fan is off because I realized the two times that we've recorded with the fan on, my mic sound goes bad when the fan is like coming my way, and it just annoys me very much, very much. But yeah,
Yeah,
um,
lucky for us, I only have one fan and I don't have access to the fan because it's in Mida's bedroom. So
yeah.
I just get hot over here. We could buy another fan, but I feel like we're coming to the we're halfway through summer now, maybe
Yeah,
next
it is
year.
not. Yeah, I don't think. I think this is the last heat wave anyway. They haven't announced there's
Yeah,
another one coming. So I guess if they announce another one coming, then yes, it will make sense for you to buy another one. But
yeah,
otherwise, no, no need.
yeah. And I've survived this far and it's been so
Yes,
hot, so
exactly.
power
Exactly.
through. Yes.
Okay, so our guest is in the lobby. Okay, so welcome to the podcast, Urmi. She has been a guest for us in the past. So if you are one of our listeners, you would have heard her previous episode. So we are so excited to have her back. So how are you, Urmi? How is everything going?
Pretty good. What about you, ladies? Always seeing your work, everything that you're doing. It's always amazing to see the everything that you have been putting out there.
Urmi, just in case anybody has not listened to the previous episode, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
For sure. So my name is Urmi. I am based in Montreal, and I'm a woman who wears many hats. I work in finance. That's my day-to-day job. And then after my 9 to 5, I switch hat and I have this other identity. That's what I call what I do during my 5 to 9. I'm a self-published author, speaker, YouTuber, a fellow podcaster as well. And probably since we spoke last time, there has been different changes, different things that I've been doing. I am part of an organization called Women in Leadership right now, and I'm the co-chair of the Montreal chapter. And I've been quite involved with a lot of female mentorship work. I've been doing a lot of mentorship with the different women-led organizations, and I've been also doing a lot of boxing. That's something new that I don't think I shared last time, and I'm still part of those masters working on my public speaking skills.
Amazing. So, can you tell us a little bit about your career journey? Obviously, we've heard a bit there, all the amazing things you do now, but what's kind of brought you to this point?
Yes, it's a very interesting question because I feel like my career journey has evolved quite a lot. I am on a traditional path when it comes to building a career in finance. It literally started with my bachelor degree in finance and then taking on different jobs and getting a different experience to finally get where I am, which is working in portfolio management. But along the way, there were a lot of, I would say, rejection, reevaluation, a lot of manifestation where I really had to manifest the job that I am right now and to do the things that I'm doing. And also a lot of learning. Like I really had to take time to invest in myself. But I think that after getting all the different designations and all the accomplishment that I got, I think I wanted to do something a bit more. And that's where I started to do all this work that I do with women in leadership and the work that I do outside of my day-to-day routine.
When was the moment, and when did you realize that having a successful career was not the same thing as having a meaningful one?
For my career, I think a lot of it was very much dictated by the external validation. Sometimes we know that success is pretty much told by what everyone thinks is considered successful, like you're getting a good job, you're getting a promotion, you're getting a good pay, and so forth. And for me, I started to realize probably I would say for 3 to 4 years in the industry that wasn't just enough for me. Like I felt like okay, I'm like working towards some accomplishment, getting all these designations, which were more for my personal accomplishment rather than my professional one. But then I felt like when I was coming back home, there was a void. There was the void because I felt like okay, I'm just doing this 9 to 5 job and going to work and following a routine, but then how am I creating an impact? How am I giving back? How am I creating a community? And so it literally started little by little through like volunteering. But I think the more I volunteer, the more I realize what is it that I wanted to do. And when I started to realize that I had a calling towards certain things, such as mentorship, creative work, such as having my own podcast, self-publishing my book, that's when I started to realize that I'm able to create an impact, a more sustainable impact, that even though it's not necessarily attached to a monetary value, it does still bring me a lot of joy. Because as I like to say, the 9 to 5, it gives you structure and discipline, but the 5 to 9, it gives you a lot more freedom to be who you want to be and to express yourself in many forms, whether you want to do it written, you want to do it vocally, you want to do it, in all these different ways. And so it really came into a point where I just didn't want to just work. I wanted to do something where I was creating an impact and hopefully like building a legacy going forward. Yeah.
I think I've definitely found like the older that I get, there was a lot of things that I did outside of work. And I think as I've got older, I kind of see how all of those puzzle pieces come together and actually like impact one another as well. Do you think that obviously you've got your career and then you've got all the things that you do outside of work as well. Have you started to see how they have like impact and influence on each other and how they kind of go hand in hand as well?
You know what I like to say? I feel like they complement each other. These two worlds, they just complement each other. And then there is me in between who is unifying these two parts of me. And I think one thing that I remind myself is that no matter where I stand, that I'm always going to be my most authentic self and I will always be true to myself. And I feel like they also like help each other in many ways because the structure that I was talking about at the beginning that I get in my 9 to 5, I'm able to apply it in my 5 to 9, because when you are doing creative work and doing things on your own term and on your own time, you need to be disciplined, which I'm able to get from my 9 to 5. So I feel like I'm able to get that, and then the same thing with my 5 to 9, which is more about being creative and being innovative. I'm able to apply it even in my day-to-day routine. So I feel like they complement each other, and I need each other so that I can feel fulfilled, but I can also have the certainty of getting, a paycheck that will help me to do the things that I do afterwards.
Yeah, and I think like in a way we just see a lot of people that are very burnout at work and the only thing that they do is like their 9 to 5, they go home and do nothing. Do you feel like everybody should kind of have like a side quest, like a side thing to do in those 5 to 9?
So that's an interesting question. And I think you always have to ask yourself if your day-to-day job is it fulfilling. I think you need to ask that to yourself. Like, I don't think you necessarily need to have a side hustle if the job that you have is what brings you joy. That's what I think. But I also think that there's nothing wrong in pursuing a hobby. And hobby could be pretty much anything. It could be painting, it could be journaling, it could be, getting together with a bunch of girls and do like a tea time, for instance, or doing Pilates. Like it could be just that. And I think there is something more meaningful in that sense. I think that it really does bring you a lot of joy and happiness. And there was a book that I read. I don't know if you're familiar with this book called the Ikigai, which is it's a Japanese concept, and it talks about how can you live a happy and fulfilled life by doing very like simple things. And it uses the example of these people that live in this island in Japan, and they're living a very happy life. Like Ikigai means the reason for being, and they're just doing simple things such as gardening, sewing, like things like that, and they're just so happy. And it just shows that the meaning at the end is not about starting a company. Like you can find meaning in this little mundane things which make people happy. So I don't think you necessarily need to have a side hustle, because I think sometimes people think side hustle, okay, I have to make sure that I make money. But I think it's more about dedicating your time towards your passion. That's what I would say is the better way to frame it.
Like us with this podcast, right? Like we're not making any money, but we enjoy it.
Exactly. I was going to ask as well. Obviously, my last question was about kind of how did all the things you do in life marry up and complement each other. Do you also ever find there's any conflicts, like in your career? Have you ever worried about things that you're doing on the outside and how that might be perceived or how that might conflict? I know sometimes people struggle with that.
So I try to keep a strict, I would say, gate in between that, in that sense that I'm not, for instance, talking at work about the things that I do. And the same thing, I don't like to go and talk about my day-to-day work when I go and do all these creative things or when I am in different podcasts. Like I think I keep a big boundary, then I keep a like a very good, like a very clear separation in that sense. Um, but I do think that the things that I've been doing in my 5 to 9 have really helped me to build a personal brand, which in a way is also impacting my professional life. Because I know that when people are looking me up, they see this person that, yes, she is in finance, but then she does all these different things. And I feel like it helps me to have a competitive advantage. I think that's what I think. I did not realize at the beginning, but then I saw that people reach out to me because they see all these things that I do, like speaking engagement, being part of Toastmasters, like talking about my books. People see that there is someone else out under that layer of just being a like finance professional, which has helped. I would say that in that sense, it has helped my career because I'm able to stand out. I try not to mix both. I still like to keep a separation, but they definitely help each other.
So you said like obviously like you are keeping it separate, but sometimes you're like portraying both and just like talking about both. Do you have LinkedIn? Because that's one of the things that I'm just always conflicted about. Like my LinkedIn is my professional side. I'm like, do I put all of the other things that I'm doing on my LinkedIn, or should I keep that separate? How are you managing? Are you putting in your LinkedIn as well your things that are not finance related, and like how does that work?
So for my LinkedIn, I had to like reevaluate it a little bit because initially it was just my professional stuff, but I felt it was not helping me to stand out. And I know that sometimes when I'm looking for speakers for our event, I'm Googling them and I'm searching for their LinkedIn. But the problem is when I see just professional stuff, I'm like, what is the differentiator? Like, why should I choose them when I just see some work experiences? And so that gave me, I would say, the hint to reevaluate a little bit my LinkedIn. And I do list out all the different things that I do, but I'm not constantly promoting every single thing that I do. Like in my accomplishment or in the part where you can put where you have been featured, I do list everywhere that I have been featured, but I'm not constantly making a post because it's like I just don't find the value in that. I post more, I would say, intentionally when I can see that that can help my professional life. And I do think that, like, especially our generations and even the younger one, they do a lot more than their day-to-day job. They do have a creative side hustle, or they are, let's say, having a podcast. And I think it's important to highlight that because you just give an idea of the additional skills that you have. Like for instance, running a podcast, it means that you are organized. It means that you have an entrepreneurial mindset. It means that you know how to handle questions and ask questions and be a good communicator. So there is a lot of like hidden talent behind the things that we do, and we should highlight them. Yes.
We need to do a female Traveling over 30 LinkedIn, Jasmine. So then we can just link it to our LinkedIn.
Yeah. We've been talking about this because obviously we're planning an event that's coming up. So we were saying
Yes.
about like we can
So
definitely promote that on LinkedIn. So absolutely, I think we need to make a page for the podcast on LinkedIn as well. So I feel like some people maybe aren't following their passions currently, or maybe they're hesitant to follow their passion, or maybe they, like you kind of said, some people think that if they're going to spend their time on something, it needs to be making them money, or there's something, a
mhm.
barrier that's stopping them from doing that. What would you say to those people? Like, what do you think everyone should be following their passion outside of work, and what will they gain from doing that?
I think there is a very simple question that people could ask themselves, which is if I was not doing my day-to-day job, what is it the one thing that I would truly love to do? I think that's one important question that you should ask yourself. And what is it that will bring me closer to be the person that I want to be in the future? I think if you can start with those questions, then you can get a good answer to see, okay, where can I start from? And I think you don't need to do a bunch of different things. I don't think it has to be necessarily about money. I think it just has to come from your heart and how you feel. And you should just stick to one thing only, because we just spoke about burnout. It's already like the time management is already difficult. And when you have all different obligations, it's very hard to manage your time. You can just do one thing only and see how you're gonna feel about it. Does this truly align with who you are? Does it align with your values? And sometimes some people love to do like learning language, which is, I think, a big part of people's passion. They just want to learn a language so they can go and travel. That could be one thing that they can start from. They can start from, let's say someone is a good cook and they love cooking. They can just make a cooking recipe or cooking book. There's so many different things that they can do, but I think you have to ask yourself, if I wasn't doing this job, where would I be? What job would I like to be doing? I think that would be a starting point.
And do you feel it's like a general thing in terms of males and females, or do you feel like maybe females feel more of that pressure of how am I going to do something different? How am I just going to follow a passion? Like, what will people say if I do something else outside of work and talk about it, because then my colleagues are going to mock me, you know?
Yeah, I think it's seen differently, like you said, like if you're a man or a woman. And I think for men, it's quite normal. You see their career trajectory, what it's going to lead them after they get their first promotion. Then there's going to be another promotion. There's going to be like a higher salary and so forth. I think for women, it's you never see that. You never see that. Like you don't see a woman like running after a promotion. She gets one, she's happy with it, and then she's like, yeah, I'm gonna live my life. And this is why like women in leadership try to change that a little bit. I think sometimes women just have to take a break, or maybe they have other commitment at home and they don't have time for themselves. And sometimes they just let go of their career because it's like it just comes secondary. But I think if it's something that truly is meaningful to you, you should not give it up. I think it's a conversation that you need to have with yourself. It's a conversation that you probably need to have with your partner if you have a partner in life. I think it's important to never give up on your dreams. And I think that's what happens usually for women. We just give up on our ambitions. Maybe we come back, but it's like too late. And I think if you have a burning passion, you should just go for it. Yeah.
And you've talked about all the things you do between your 5 and 9. Do you ever have a week or two or a few days where you just like, I don't want to do anything, like I just want to come home from my 9 to 5 and lay on the sofa, and like, I mean, I definitely have those days. And how do you overcome that?
You know what? I attended this workshop that talks about I'm trying to remember. I think it was talking about our imposter. What is this thing that like it was just basically
Imposter syndrome.
well, it wasn't exactly imposter
Oh.
syndrome. It was another thing where basically you have to complete a quiz and then you're put into a category. So you have the perfectionist, you have those people that cannot stand the minute without doing anything. And so I was that kind of person. I'm trying to remember the name. There was a whole study behind it, and it was found out that people like me, they just want to do things. They always look for the next opportunity and they never have a dull moment. They never want to sit down and not do anything. And I think after taking that test, I really took time to reflect. It's true, I never take a break. Like for me, taking a break, it's like wasting my time and not being productive. And so during those days, I try to like slow down a little bit, but there is not a day where I just sit down on myself and not do anything, because I think my mind is constantly working and my mind is constantly thinking, okay, what is the next thing that I can do? How can I like be productive? And I don't like to waste my time. I think that's that, like I really use, even when they say time is money, I do like to believe in that. I think every time is worth like spent well, and I make sure that I'm like using my time wisely, which is why I'm like I stick to my calendar, which is why I have like a whole time management process and everything. I really try to be like diligent in that sense.
I think I'm a bit similar to that, but not in terms of like wasting my time. I just feel like my brain doesn't shut up. There's always thinking about
Mhm.
something. And even when I am, I might be like doom scrolling on social media, but I'm not really doom scrolling because I'm just seeing things, and then I send like 1,000 messages to Jasmine that she sees later of like, oh, we should talk about this on the podcast. So then I just message and just comment, we need you on the podcast. We need you this and that. I like anything that I am doing. I'm just always thinking about like, how can I do things either for the podcast or for something else? But
Same.
yeah, that made me just think there's going to be a lot of people that are doing this, and maybe they have this little side hustle, or they started this as a hobby and then they are building it. Right? When do you think people should consider turning their 5 to 9 into their 9 to 5?
Honestly, I think usually the big question that people usually ask is the financial part, and which is a big uncertainty. Big uncertainty because you're 9 to 5, even if you don't like it, let's say it does help you to pay the bills, right? The mortgages, the utility bills, and so forth. And then your 5 to 9 is what brings you happiness, but sometimes you're hesitant because you're like, okay, but I don't know if I'm going to make money right away. And it's about also the same post that you just made about Coca-Cola, that they sold their first 25, like they sold their drink 20, like their first drink 25 or 25, they had 25 sales. And now like they're such a big company. Like I do think that the financial part, it's a big question, and it's a big, I would say, playing factor in that case. And I went to these entrepreneurs, like to these networking events for entrepreneurs. And I was talking to every single woman there. And I was like, okay, but do you have like a day-to-day job? And they were like, yeah, we just quit that. We're just like running our company. But they're like, you know what is the best thing ever? Like, even though I like was paying my bills and everything, I do like the freedom that I get from having my own thing. And I think that's an important aspect, which I think it's very applicable so to many of people of our generations who grew up with a different mindset. Like I feel like baby boomers, Generation X, they prefer stability. Whereas we're like a little bit more like, we're okay with uncertainty. We're okay in having that freedom. And I think we're okay with, living for a couple of years with an uncertainty, but we enjoy the freedom of like not following anyone's schedule, the freedom of doing whatever we want to do. And I think these are some of the questions that you should ask yourself. Like, are you going to be comfortable in not making money? Are you going to be okay with that kind of lifestyle for a couple of years? Because running your own company means you're not right away getting financial security. You don't even have insurance coverage. There's so many like cons when it comes to that. So you need to be comfortable with that. And you also have to think of yourself like, will this make me happy on the long run? So you always have to be careful also on the timing. Yeah.
If somebody's listening to this, I was saying earlier, I feel like once you get into your 30s is when you might start to question your career a little bit more, or maybe your career choices. Because I think a lot of the time, if you go into a traditional route, you obviously study perhaps, or do an apprenticeship or whatever it is you do to go into a certain route, and then you work your way up, and then maybe you get to where you thought you wanted to be. And then some people, I think, then question it, and they think, actually, I don't know if I find any meaning in this, or I don't know if I'm getting out of this what I thought I would. And that's, I think, a lot of people, that scares a lot of people when they're in their 30s, because it makes them think like, okay, I've spent all this time investing in this certain path, and now I don't know if this is even what I want to be doing. Do you have any little like habits or tips that people could start to implement to find more meaning in what they're doing, or to find the meaning outside if they're not currently feeling that within their job?
So here's the thing, and especially for people like, let's say, wanting to start over, let's say in their 30, is you're never late. You're never late to start on a project that is aligned with who you are. I think that's the big message that I want to leave. And I think for people who are constantly like asking themselves questions, I think one big thing that really helped me is learning, like being curious and always learning different things and always investing in myself, and also to be aware that the environment around us is changing. is changing so much with all this artificial intelligence and all these things being automated. You need to be innovative and you need to think of different ways on how you can, stand up in the crowd, how you can promote yourself. You also have to think about, okay, what is it that I can bring in the market that someone else is not doing or that the machine is not doing. I think it's always important to keep learning and to also remind yourself that everything that you have done so far is not going to go wasted. It might come back sometime in the future. And I want to give an example because I work with this co-worker who has my same background. We're both in finance. We both did the same financial designation, and he's been working in finance for a while. But he has an outside interest outside of work, which is he likes to do comedy. He likes to do that comedy. So we're talking about two different worlds. And I think now he made the decision to leave finance and to just become a comedian. And I asked him like how was it the transition? How did you feel about this decision? And he was like, I'm happy with this. I'm gonna see where this leads me. And if I ever need to, and if everything that I have done so far in finance, I can always go back to it. That would be my, second plan B. If things do not work out, that would be my plan B. So that would be my message to people. Like everything that you have done is never gonna go waste. It will always be useful.
Yeah, and I think like what you just said regarding how things are changing around us, I think it's very important to reinvent yourself every single time. You really need to look at what's going on, what is happening, and reinvent yourself even within your own career. Keep learning, keep being vigilant of what is out there, follow your passion, whatever that is.
Mm.
Even though it might seem scary, sometimes you just need to take the leap of faith and go for what you want in order to be fully fulfilled in what you do on a daily basis. So, yeah, I think that was like a lovely way to kind of like wrap up the episode. So, obviously, as I said, people should all be listening to our episodes and know already Urmi's previous episode. But in case we get new listeners, can you remind them where can they find you? Some of your your book. Where can they find all of the different resources that you share? You have like worked on.
Yeah, so my book is called Discovering Your Identity: A Rebirth from Interracial Struggle, and it's available on Amazon. I have a podcast called Stories Beyond Borders, and it's available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if they want to find out about the work that I do with women in leadership, they can just Google Women in Leadership Foundation Canada and find out about the Montreal chapter.
So thank you very much, everybody, for listening to another episode of the Females Thriving Over 30 podcast. Do not forget to check the description where we are adding the link to our event. Also, if you want to be involved in a way as a speaker or as a sponsor, please make sure that you reach out to us as well. Our email is fto30podcast@gmail.com. The information, again, is going to be in the description down below. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.